WNBA free agency is officially underway, and so when you see these names and the options that the Sky have, what do you think that they're coming up?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Angel and Killa are very interesting pieces, and when you're talking about, you know, getting the right players in here, there's intrigue when you have young core pieces like that, because you could be part of developing them and developing towards a title contending season. But the reality is the Sky are still very far.
Angel Reese confidently stated on her broadcast that she was building a Chicago powerhouse. The current scenario is entirely different when we fast forward to the present. Free agency has begun, but Chicago's roster is still entirely empty. The top free agents weighed their options and chose not to sign with the Sky.
It's told no. Like, you're gonna get the yeses, you're gonna get more yeses than nos, and just being able to know that. So I'm excited for that. I know that's gonna come.
They haven't convinced any of the stars to join the Sky. While other teams have amassed a wealth of top talent, Chicago has been left scrambling for answers. Reese was anticipated to have the chance to help build a championship-caliber club during free agency after all of the recruiting she did at Unrivaled. Rather, it's turning into a sobering reality check. Is this the best evidence that players from all over the league are just not interested in joining whatever it is that Reese is trying to create in Chicago? Let's take a closer look at how this free agency disaster unfolds.
It feels like Baltimore here. I love it here.
Kind of. A little bit, little DMV action. Yeah. But you know, Chicago's a number 3 market in the country.
Really?
It's New York, LA, and then Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, y'all have everything. I'm not gonna lie, y'all have everything here. Like, it's nothing here that I'm like, oh, I gotta go to a different city for it. Like, everything has been here.
Angel Reese confidently stated that she will assemble an outstanding team in Chicago. But the only thing the Sky have produced since the start of free agency is an unsettled roster. Consider this. Reese is using her contacts to browse, send messages, and make calls. However, all she sees when she checks her phone are unopened messages and kind rejections.
Camila Cardoso, too, have brought relevance to this team that they've desperately needed in a time when, again, if not for them, they'd be completely irrelevant because of the product that they're putting on the floor.
And also make Chicago an attractive spot when you have Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso right there, two bigs.
You would think that at least one of the numerous top free agents would be heading to Chicago. Not true. The silence has been deafening. No well-known signings, no jubilant tweets, and no championship-caliber players on the verge of moving to the Windy City. What went wrong was left a mystery to Reese.
This is not great news, you know, for the Chicago Sky, who are a team that obviously, look, they're rebuilding. This is a team that is 100% rebuilding. The problem is they don't own pick. So if the Chicago Sky run it back, they're probably not making the playoffs next year. Look, I think there's going to be an improvement from Angel Reese. There's going to be an improvement from Cardoso. But that team with no Kennedy Carter, it's going to be real.
Plum, Kelsey Alyssa Thomas, Duana Howard, Brittany Bonner, Jewel Lloyd Griner, and Natasha Sadisabali and Kelsey Mitchell. They are the kind of players who can dramatically change a franchise. How many of them actually thought about Chicago? Not one. Maybe there was yet a chance. Maybe Reese had a plan that nobody saw coming. But now that most of the familiar names had found new homes, it was a complete flop.
A good day for the Chicago Sky. Not a day at all, because we have heard news from the journalist who the WNBA, and because she is not a homer like a lot of the other people, like for one team, one of the actual credible journalists reported on.
To make matters worse, Reese also received no help from the Sky front office. Kennedy Carter, their top scorer, didn't even get a qualifying offer. It was obvious that Chicago isn't interested in retaining its top players, much less luring in new ones. And those rumors of a deal didn't go very far. Free agents were unable to flee quickly enough when Reese attempted to convince them of the super team concept. Angel Reese, the so-called superstar who was supposed to bring top talent to Chicago, is currently in a challenging situation. Rather, she might oversee a team of role players and rookies. She did not intend to employ this powerhouse. It is a sobering reminder. So what went wrong? Why did the top free agents think Chicago wasn't worth their time? Let's break everything down. Is it a coach or a player that Angel Reese is taking out of town? Taking their best shooter out of town.
Incredible season for us last year, says the GM.
She's extremely talented and is a player that can impact the game at the highest level in our league. We absolutely appreciate all she did for our team last year. However, we've made changes to our staff and we'll make changes to our roster. The changes impact Kennedy's fit on the team, so we wanted to give her the best opportunity.
While Angel Reese was positioning Chicago as the next WNBA powerhouse, the actual top free agents were making moves that left the sky in the dust. Imagine a signing frenzy that spreads throughout the league, sending superstars to places that lacked everything Chicago possessed: stability, leadership, and a sincere chance for achievement. Let's look at the specific places where the stars decide to shine.
Angel Reese, did she just run a coach out of town, and is she running a player out of town? Their best shooter out of town? Because Kennedy Carter looks like she's ready to book it out of Chicago.
While
Kelsey Plum comes first. Remember her? The shooter who helped Las Vegas win so many titles in a row? Well, she's heading to LA. Indeed, the Sparks have become a very strong rival. Why Los Angeles rather than Chicago? It's simple. A franchise that isn't in complete chaos, excellent coaching, and a front office that actually knows its function. I apologize, Angel, but if it stung, what happened with Jewel Lloyd must have been extremely embarrassing. Being a Chicago native, Lloyd had the perfect opportunity to return home and entertain her hometown. If playing with Angel Reese was that enticing, this ought to have been clear, right? Not true. Lloyd traveled for Las Vegas right away after seeing the Sky's situation, where she will be working with A'ja Wilson. Yes, she made the decision to put more of her attention on winning titles than the mayhem that is unfolding in Chicago. She is
As the GM, she's extremely talented and is a player that can impact the game at the highest level in our league. Absolutely appreciate all she did for our team last year. However, we've made changes to our staff and we'll make changes to our roster. Changes impact Kennedy's fit on the team, so we wanted to
traveling to Atlanta to join her dream squad, which has grown considerably more dangerous. Alyssa Thomas, the triple doubles queen, is currently living in Phoenix. Is there a pattern here? These sportsmen didn't just avoid Chicago. They ran toward groups that were led by people with clear instructions. Teams where they could thrive instead of wasting time in the locker room arguing. In reference to Phoenix, Angel Reese circumstances continue to worsen. In addition to Thomas arriving there, she will be working with Satu Seville. Such a dangerous combo instantly raises the mercury. But that's where the real suffering starts. While Angel Reese was busy trying and failing to recruit, the Indiana Fever were out here building a championship lineup. The biggest off-season transformation was just finished by the Fever. They brought in battle veterans including Sydney Colson, Sophie Cunningham, Dewana Bonner, and Natasha Howard. Reese's teammate Brianna Turner was even abducted from her own home. If that wasn't enough, they also re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. Indiana transformed from a youthful, promising squad to a serious contender for the championship, while Chicago stayed still. So what does all of this mean? It seems that Angel Reese's words were not being taken seriously by the real stars. In addition to rejecting Chicago, these great free agents purposefully strengthened the clubs that will stand in the Sky's way. They all appeared to have seen the warning signs and decided to avoid the drama before it started. But wait. There's one more thing that might be the final straw for Angel Reese's purported desire to join a super team. Are you interested in hearing more? Angel Reese is now stuck staring at empty lockers and unanswered texts after boasting that she had turned Chicago into a powerhouse squad. The truth is starting to seep in. Her attempt to attract elite talent is turning into a nightmare. It's starting to seem less like an all-star squad and more like a pickup squad at the local YMCA. The lack of elite talent in the Sky's practice facility is the most urgent problem, so let's fix it. Did you realize that Chicago's current setup is like practicing in a high school arena compared to the rest of the WNBA? While teams like the Fever, Liberty, and Aces are practicing in cutting-edge facilities, the Sky are stuck in a time warp. In addition, the much-anticipated new facility won't be finished until 2026. In a league that is growing at a faster pace, that might as well be 10 years from now.
Jewel Lloyd to the Las Vegas Aces in a blockbuster team trade that moves Kelsey Plum to the LA Sparks. That's according to ESPN. As part of the deal, Seattle receives the second pick in the WNBA draft from LA in exchange for the Storm's number pick, while the Aces also receive the 13th pick, a second-round.
And things only become worse when you take into account their history. At what point did the Sky actually had a chance of qualifying for the playoffs? They collapsed like a cheap lawn chair last season, finishing with 13 wins and 27 losses, their worst record since 2020. And that was with the addition of Angel Reese, a so-called generational rookie. As it happens, hype does not win games.
WNBA insider that Illinois native Jewel Lloyd will not be going to Chicago Sky. And obviously they didn't Kennedy Carter. And it's looking like one obviously that's been linked to Chicago across her careers because of her Illinois roots to Seattle Storm guard Jewel Lloyd.
But wait, it gets more messy. According to reports, the locker room chemistry at Sky is as turbulent as a reality TV show. Who is making things worse? Angel Reese. Instead of luring free agents to Chicago, she is snuffing out talent faster than a shaky Wi-Fi signal. The response to Reese's personal attempt to recruit Gabby Williams was, "Thanks, but no thanks." Even Kennedy Carter, who isn't exactly renowned for being polite, shared her thoughts about Reese before she left. Oh no.
Alyssa Thomas, Natasha Cloud, Brittany Griner. Let's start with Brittany Griner, joining Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard in Atlanta. Dream. Brittany Griner was drafted to Phoenix in 2013, so it's about time, and I'm so excited to see what Atlanta turn around this next season, because they really need her. Phoenix is also losing Natasha Cloud and Beck Allen, along with the number 12 pick overall draft to Connecticut. Connecticut is giving up the triple-double queen, Alyssa.
Speaking of turmoil, let's talk about the Sky's front office. It's like the spinning door at a fast food restaurant. People coming and going, no stability. According to WNBA analyst Annie Costabile, it makes logical that free agents are wary of Chicago's volatility. Who would willingly become involved in this mess? What does that signify for Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky? Not in a good place. While clubs like the Fever are developing into true dynasties, the Sky are unable to even convince players to accept their calls. It resembles a slow-motion train accident. It's difficult to ignore, yet it hurts.